5, a new study has captured our attention. It shows 92% of small business owners are having serious trouble finding qualified applicants to fill their open positions. Western Mass News reporter Olivia Hickey joins us live in studio after getting answers on the impact this is having on our economy. Olivia.
Chris, it's something we've been tracking, especially during the pandemic, and now we find the news is still not good for businesses struggling to stay afloat. Help wanted signs continue to hang in storefronts across Western Mass, a sight business owners know all too well.
It's been a struggle for small businesses for some time now to fill open positions, and it's not getting any easier. And the more we talk to them, the more problems they're having finding workers, and not just workers, qualified workers, people who are able to do the jobs.
And a new study coming from the National Federation of Independent Businesses shows 92% of business owners report receiving few or no qualified applications for open positions. Over 60% of owners report they tried hiring or hired people in April. 29% of owners say they received a few qualified candidates for open slots, and 26% report receiving none. Western Mass News sat down with Christopher Carlosi, the organization's state director. He says businesses have tried incentives like higher pay, bonuses, and more, but notes the cost of living is a real problem.
You're seeing a lot of people leave Massachusetts. That's a problem. Massachusetts is a very unaffordable state right now for both small businesses and in a lot of case workers.
We spoke with Carl Petrick from Holt International Business School as well. He says a lot of people have become picky, choosing higher paying jobs and possibly moving. But according to a recent study from Wallet Hub, new unemployment claims in Massachusetts were up 15.19% from last week. So how are people living?
One of the reasons why the unemployment rate in Massachusetts has gone up is because we've seen growth in the number of people looking for work. When you're unemployed, typically you're dipping into your savings for a while.
Adding this data is due to the state bouncing back quicker from COVID and recent layoffs in industries like technology.
We saw a similar thing in the Great Recession and coming out of the Great Recession too, that for a very long time, Massachusetts was better than the national average in terms of job growth and things like that. And then it started to slow down a little faster.
Patrick tells me as the economy slows down, there will also be less of a demand for goods and services, and this can lower demand for workers as well. And if prices stay high, more people will continue to look for jobs. Reporting live in studio, Olivia Hickey for Western Mass News.
Olivia.